Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the weekend update. It was a rather interesting week, and this is going to be a week that is probably going to repeat itself many, many times for the rest of the year. Just like the last time Trump was president, the market is going to be living and dying by whatever tweets and news heads out. Tariffs and trade war, etc., is what really has the market on edge right now. But you recall in the chat room on Friday, I was mentioning, it'd be a really good sign if the market stops listening to that kind of stuff. And we actually saw a little bit of it. It looked really doom and gloom, but a very nice recovery that looks like it should push into next week. I'd mentioned early in the morning that I thought we could be setting up for a rally this upcoming week, but it didn't look that great, and it was short covering into Friday, but we had an excellent close that, as long as we don't get any more craziness from Washington for a couple of days, we could see some nice oversold bounces, and we could actually see them try to retest the recent highs. I think we've seen the highs or close to it for now. I think any bounce back is just going to be a trading opportunity for probably much lower during the year. But we're starting off here with the SPY chart. Nice big bounce. It actually broke its downtrend line and looks like we could see a move up to the 600s this upcoming week. Now, the one stock, of course, that we need to look at first, which is essentially the stock market right now, is Nvidia. We picked up a nice little position at the bottom on Friday, 118s, solid close here. Took half off the table, and now let's see if we can get a push up into the 130s this next week. As I mentioned, the reason I picked up these shares for a scalp was because if Nvidia was not going to rally, there was zero chance, in my opinion, of the market bouncing into next week. So if we think the market's going to bounce, we got to buy the stock. I think it's how I view it. That is essentially the market. Here is the daily chart on Nvidia. Oversold right now, so it's got legs up to that 132 to 135. Again, depending on what news flow comes out, who knows? We might get some chip tariff news again. So everything is take it day by day, and we'll see what goes on. QQQs right at the downtrend break right here. I'd mentioned in the room that I thought this one had 15 to 25 plus upside, so we could see a move up to this 520. 530 area. The charts support the move. The question is, are we going to get curveball news to stop that happening? Now, there's going to be a crypto event next week, and I'm thinking, the only way crypto is going to boom, which this administration is really for, is if we see a nice bounce in tech. So that's having that news out, I think, is another strong push behind tech stocks, giving us a nice bounce in the coming days. APP, what a whooping this one took, but it looks deeply oversold right now. The shorts timed this perfectly with their coordinated bear raid. Multiple different short firms come out with suspect research, let's just put it like that, right when the company was stuck in the middle of its quiet period. No surprise there either. Chart looks very, very nice for a move back to the 400s. We're about to get a positive MACD cross on the 2-hour chart. All the indicators look good. Let's look at the 1-hour chart. Now, I could have adjusted this chart, but I showed it on Friday. We're still kind of sideways going here. I think we break 340, and we're looking at 380s plus next week. The charts are ready for bounces. Now, we saw a lot of charts, 800 bottoms in a lot of these charts on the hourlies last week, and then they kept pushing them lower and lower. But I think we are looking good, tweets aside, for a solid bounce across the board. NBIS is another one. I think we get a break at 33.50 to 34. Chart indicators are there for a move to 37 back to 40. ROKU is another one. This was one that I jumped into a position, had monster earnings, and like a lot of the earnings reports we've seen over the last several months got sold off. This hopefully should be the point where this one makes a solid move in the coming days. Chart looks very, very bottomed here and very supportive of a move up to 92 and then back over 100. If it follows the pattern that we've seen on other earning stocks that sold out. And of course, if the tech stocks hold up. If the tech stocks are holding up, I think ROKU has a definite chance of getting back over 100 in the near term. OKLO nuclear stock, big sell-off. Tried to bounce on Thursday, looked great. Then the tech stocks got the rug pulled out of it and it went right back down. This is one of the stocks I mentioned to you guys that, it was looking solid for the turnaround on Thursday, got hammered with the market. This is one that could see 38 to 40 pretty quickly on a tech rally this week. Now, of course, if that one's going, we've got to look at the small cap, mid cap here, LTBR. Right now, it's kind of in no man's land. This might be one I'll be watching on Monday for a possible 12-10 break for a trade up to the 13s. That's what I'm going to be looking at least on this one, if OKLO, etc., and the tech stocks in general are rallying. Quick mention on Intel. It's a nice sideways pattern. As I mentioned, as long as they keep dipping this into the 22s, I'm going to be looking to pick up swing shares to sell in the 24s. Rinse, repeat on those swing shares until it finally breaks out. Quick mention on SMCI. I probably should have picked up some on Friday when I picked up Nvidia, but I figured I had enough exposure with the leader. But as long as Nvidia continues to go, this is another chart very supportive of a big bounce this week with the market. Break a 43.50 to 44, and I think we're looking at a move to 50s. The chart support it. Will the market hold up? Is the big question. I think it will, but that's one of those things you have to keep in the back of the mind. And position sizing is very, very important in this kind of choppy market where a stock could be breaking out, a tweet comes out, and the market reverses and it gets hammered. As we've seen, surprisingly, I thought this administration would have hammered the shorts a little bit more, but they are running willy-nilly, as we've seen in APP, and no fear. I mean, look at the first few charts I've done here. More times than not, back in the day, 90% of these stocks would be small cap stocks. Small cap market is just getting decimated by naked shorts and these crazy offerings that we're seeing out there. I'm not saying there's not runners in small cap land. It's just right now the large caps, quotation marks, are easier to trade. They're trading more logically than what we're seeing in small caps land. But of course, we've got to talk about some small caps and a couple of really cheapo ones. HOWL, cash rich biotech, had a big pop a couple of weeks ago to 160. Slow bleed with the market. Of course, like we've seen many times, there's one of these things. You can play stops, but you have to see how these stocks get to those stops. Remember, the robots know where these chart levels are. And we see it more times than not where they blast through the stops so they can steal those shares. And then a day later, you see those stocks substantially higher. They broke through the lows last week. This is one that should make a nice little move back up to the 140, 160 zone. Another cash-rich play, ANTX, looking very, very solid here. Actually trying to break the downtrend line. It had that big move up, loaded with cash. 120 break is what I'm looking for on here. SYPR, our missile defense play, natural gas play, market down, wide spreads, doesn't take much volume to hammer these down. Nice test of the 200-day moving average, deeply oversold. Be nice if we get a little missile defense news or natural gas news just to rocket this one higher. It's one I've been sitting on for a couple of years, and I'm back into accumulate mode. Picked up some more shares on Friday, and this one I'm okay sitting on and, waiting for that nice move back. Last one I wanted to mention real quick, coin. Again, we've got this Bitcoin event next week. I looked at a couple of the small cap plays and the larger cap ones like Mara and Riot, but why mess with those when we've got a chart like this on coin? Looks like if it breaks 221, we could see a $20 move on this one, even with small shares. Probably easier trading this one, which is sad to say, than the really, really gamed ones like Mara and Riot right now. So that's it for the video, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in the chat room on Monday. Bye.